The ride is 3 hours through dry California hills. Wind, dust, the sun hammering down on asphalt. You stay in formation, you don't cut in front, you don't fall behind. At a rest stop in the middle of nowhere, Gerald walks past you. He doesn't stop, but he clocks you that night around a fire behind someone's property. A man hands you a bottle of whiskey. You take a sip, one sip, you pass it on. Someone starts talking about a truck that got pulled over in Nevada last month. What was in it? Who got arrested? You stare at the fire. You are memorizing every word. This is the job. 6 weeks in, you've been on 4 runs. You've helped fix 2 bikes. You got into a bar fight. Not one you started, but one you finished. And the men around you saw it. That matters more than anything else you've done. Cody tells you there's a meeting Thursday night. Not at the Notch. At a property 20 miles east. Private land. No address listed anywhere. You drive out there and a man you've never seen searches you at the gate. Thorough, you pass. Inside there are 30 men. The inner circle. The prospects. The hangers-on. You are still technically a nobody, but you're here. Gerald speaks for 45 minutes. You catch fragments. A name, Tres Redas. A city, Phoenix, a number. 200 units. You don't write anything down. You go home at midnight. You sit in your car in the dark for 20 minutes before you move. Then you call Walsh on the burn phone. She listens. When you're done, she's quiet for a moment. 200 units, she repeats. That's what I heard. That's a significant shipment, Danny. She calls you by the cover name now. Always, even on secured lines. She says, stay close. Don't volunteer for anything. Not yet. You hang up. You stare at the ceiling of your car. You haven't spoken to anyone who knows your real name in 43 days. Month 3, Cody brings you in front of Gerald. They call it a sit down, but it's really an interview. Gerald is calm, almost gentle. He has kind eyes, which is the most dangerous thing about him. He asks about Chino. You tell him what you've rehearsed, the block you were on, the officers you hated, the men you respected, every detail clean, every detail verified by a fictional record the Bureau spent 6 weeks building. Gerald nods. Then he says something you didn't expect. I knew a man from Fresno, Bobby Thatch. You know him. A pause, your chest tightens. Name sounds familiar, you say. Didn't really run with that crowd. Gerald looks at you. 3 seconds. 5 seconds. Then he smiles. Good man, he says, and it's unclear if he means Bobby Thatch or you. He tells Cody to patch you in as a prospect. You shake his hand. Your hand is completely steady. Inside, your entire body is screaming. A prospect doesn't get to say no. That's the first rule you learn. Week 2 of your prospect period. Cody tells you to drive a van from Bakersfield to a warehouse in Stockton. You don't ask what's in it. That's rule number 2. Walsh has 48 hours notice. 2 surveillance teams are positioned along the route. You drive the van 5 hours alone with whatever's in the back. The whole drive you think about what happens if you get pulled over, the story you'd tell, the call you'd make, the way the whole operation would collapse. You don't get pulled over. The warehouse is in an industrial district off a frontage road. 3 men unload the van in 9 minutes. You never see what's inside. You drive the empty van back. When you report to Walsh that night, she tells you the surveillance team tracked the warehouse. 12 crates, she says. We think rifles. You're quiet, Danny. Her voice is careful. You did the right thing. You drove an empty van as far as you knew. I knew it wasn't empty. She doesn't respond to that. Because there's nothing to say. You get your patch 2 months later, full member. The ceremony is at night out on the same private land. Gerald pins it on you himself. The men around you cheer. You drink that night more than you should. Because you need to look like you're celebrating and you need to drown something. Out at the same time, you call your sister from a gas station payphone 3 states away the next morning. You don't say who you are. You just listen to her voice for 30 seconds. Then you hang up. You haven't seen your family in 4 months. Walsh tells you the Phoenix connection is getting clearer. Tres Redas is a cartel adjacent supplier. The Iron Veil is moving weapons south and bringing product north. 2 men are dead who were connected to this network. One of them was a CI. You don't ask his name, but you think about him. The clubhouse, men are starting to talk to you differently. Like you're real. Like Danny Rowe is someone they'd trust with anything. And that's the most dangerous part because you're starting to understand them. Not agree, not justify, but understand. And understanding the enemy is a kind of infection. Gerald calls you into his office. Not a room, a real office at the back of a property he owns outside of Tulare. He has maps on the wall, routes. He tells you he's been watching you, that he trusts you, that the club needs someone smart for a specific job. He wants you to be the point of contact with the Phoenix connection. His voice is completely normal when he says this, like he's asking you to manage a schedule. You feel the walls of the room shift slightly. This is the moment Walsh told you about, the deep access moment, the one that makes the whole operation. You say yes. You drive back to your motel room, lock the door, sit on the floor, and don't move for 20 minutes. Then you call Walsh. She is silent for a long moment after you tell her. Then she says, this is it, Danny. Everything we came for. And then, I need you to know this changes your exposure level significantly. I know. If they ever find out. I know Walsh. She goes quiet again. You can pull out. Right now, tonight, we have enough for... No, one word. She doesn't push. You stare at the water stain on the motel ceiling. You think about the 2 men who are dead. You stay in Phoenix, a Tuesday in August, 109 degrees on the street. You meet a man named Salvo in the back room of a restaurant near the airport. He has 3 men with him. You have Cody. Salvo slides a phone across the table. On it a number, a quantity, a date. You look at it, memorize it, slide it back. You shake his hand. Drive back to the hotel. Walsh has a team outside the restaurant. They photograph Salvo. 2 days later, she tells you his real name. He has active warrants in 2 countries. You've just handed them everything they need to build the federal case. But you can't leave yet because Gerald is watching and one of his men, a quiet, sharp-eyed prospect named Eli, has been watching you. You don't know why yet, but you can feel it. Eli comes to you at the clubhouse. Late night, most of the men are drunk. He leans against the wall next to you and says very quietly, "You make calls late at night." You don't react. A lot of guys do. You say, "Not on payphones." Silence. You look at him sideways. His face is completely flat. "Old habit," you say from inside. Paranoid about cells, he holds your gaze for 3 seconds. Then he nods and walks away. You take a slow drink. Your hand is not steady this time. You text Walsh one word that night, problem. She calls you in 4 minutes. You tell her about Eli. She says, "How solid is your cover?" "Solid," you say, "but he's smart." "Do you think he's talked to Gerald?" "I don't know." Walsh is quiet then. "You need to get out within 2 weeks. We'll accelerate the timeline. If I disappear now, I know. They'll know something's wrong. Danny, if he's already suspicious, give me a week." She doesn't want to, but she gives you the week. 4 days later, Gerald calls a meeting. Unscheduled, everyone present. He stands at the front of the room and talks for 10 minutes about loyalty, about what happens to men who betray the club. He doesn't look at you once, which is exactly why you know he's thinking about you. That night, a man named Deke, a man who's been friendly to you for months, doesn't speak to you. The room feels different. You text Walsh from the bathroom. Timeline moved up. Need extraction within 48 hours. She responds in 2 minutes. Confirm, stay calm, don't run early. You go back out, you drink, you laugh at someone's joke. Danny Rowe has never been more convincing, and you have never felt more alone. 22 hours before extraction, you're at the clubhouse. Eli finds you in the parking lot. He has 2 men with him. Gerald wants to see you. He says, not a question. The walk to Gerald's office is 43 steps. You count everyone. Gerald is sitting behind his desk. He looks tired. He looks at you for a long moment, then says, "You know what I hate more than anything, Danny?" You say nothing. "I hate being wrong about someone." The room is very quiet. "I've been doing this a long time." He says, "You learn to read people." "I read you as real." Gerald picks up a phone, slides it across the desk. On the screen, a photograph. It's you, outside a payphone in Stockton. In the background, barely visible, a car. Government plates. The room compresses. Everything narrows, he says. "One chance. Tell me who you are." And for 1/2 second, one single terrifying half second, you feel the pull. Not to confess, to disappear, to become Danny Rowe for real and never go back. Then you stand up, you flip the desk, you run. Gunfire behind you, out the back door. Across open land in the dark, Walsh's voice in your earpiece. She's been monitoring your heart rate through the watch on your wrist. She already knows. 2 minutes, she says. East tree line, move, you move. Thorns, dirt, the sound of men behind you. A shot hits the fence post 3 feet to your left. You don't stop the tree line. Headlights flash twice. You hit the car door at full speed. It pulls out before you close the door. Walsh is in the passenger seat. She doesn't say anything. You sit in the back, breathing, covered in dirt. Your hands are finally shaking. The debrief takes 9 days. A safe house in Nevada. You sit across from Walsh and 2 federal attorneys, and you give them everything. Names, routes, dates, locations. The meeting with Salvo, the warehouse in Stockton, the maps on Gerald's wall. 41 arrests, 3 states. The Phoenix connection dismantled. 14 weapons caches recovered. Walsh shakes your hand on the last day. "You did it," she says. You nod. She waits like she expects you to say something. You don't know what to say, because they're asking you if you want to go home, and you're trying to remember exactly where that is. 3 months later, you're back in a regular apartment. Regular clothes, your real name on a regular lease. You call your sister, you have dinner with her, you laugh at the right moments. But at 2 a.m, you're standing at the kitchen window, looking at the street below, watching cars, checking plates. The psychologist Walsh assigned you says this is normal, that it fades, that the identity dissolution is a documented phenomenon. She uses clean words for dirty things. You think about Gerald, not with sympathy, but with something close to it. He built something real out of broken pieces. So did you. The difference was what you built it for. You get a new assignment offer 6 weeks later. Different city, different world, different name. You read the file, you close it, you open it again, and here's the truth. No one tells you about this life. It's not the danger that pulls you back. It's not the money. It's not the mission. It's the only time you ever feel completely, terrifyingly, honestly alive. You pick up the phone, you call Walsh. She answers on the first ring, like she knew you would call, like she's been waiting. "I'm in," you say, and somewhere in a city you've never been, to a new name is already waiting for you. You never left, you just changed the mission.